Welcome to Active Stretching. I'm Barry Bailey, and today I'm going to show you how to do better active stretching. The first thing you want to do if you're going to do active stretching on your own is find a comfortable place, a place where you can be alone, a place where you won't be disturbed, and a place where you have enough space that you can really spread out and do the full activity of the stretches. You might want to have some pillows available, one perhaps for your head. As you're lying on your back, you may want to have your head elevated a bit. You might also want to have two pillows available for your knees because there are stretches that we do where we kneel. A good active stretch depends on proper breathing. And for the proper breathing, I'd like you to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you do this, take a nice, deep, full breath. Really fill your lungs so that you have lots of oxygen and lots of air coming into there. The message that is being sent from your brain to your muscles to let go will be stronger with a stronger breath. You also want to be sure that you're extending the breath through the entire length of the stretch, from the beginning where you initiate the stretch till the very end where you have ended the assist and hold. With each stretch, of course, you're contracting the opposing muscle to the muscle that you're being targeted for the stretch. And when you do that, you want to give a good, forceful contraction, not a wimpy contraction. Do a forceful contraction so that the muscle that's being targeted really gets a strong message. You've got to let go because that other guy is working right now. You don't have to work. We don't want you to work. And then, of course, after the stretch has ended, you want to always go all the way back to neutral, where you started. And you always go through that full range of motion, the greatest range of motion that you can go through with your stretch, and then back to neutral. At the end of the stretch, we give an assist. That assist should be firm but gentle. Think more in terms of coaxing the muscle into letting go. Your brain is telling it to let go, but you have to coax it a little bit too. Do not force. You never force a stretch with active stretching. Active stretching is not about a battle between you and your muscles. Active stretching should be a gentle coaxing of the muscles and encouraging the muscles to let go, and they will. They will respond to you very nicely if you are kind to them. If you try to do a tug of war, you're going to lose because you're not going to get a stretch. The muscles will win because they will fight against you if you're trying to force the stretch. You never force a stretch when doing active stretching. We go through the full range of motion to as far as we can go, and then just take the stretch a little bit farther. And each time that you do a repetition, what you'll find is that you will be able to go a little bit farther each time. And that's how the stretch is accomplished. It's not all done at once. It's done through the process of repetition. Your brain is telling the muscle to let go, and that allows it to be stretched. The next important thing to remember is you want to be responsible. You are responsible for your own safety. You are responsible for what happens with your muscles. The muscles have to be respected. If you try to force the stretch, you are going to lose, as I just said, because muscles cannot be forced to stretch. You must be responsible for your safety. And you must take the muscles into a stretch knowing that what they do now is not necessarily what they did last week or what you hope for them to do next week. They will do what they are able to do just for right now. Also be aware that the two sides of your body or the front and back of your body are not the same. You use your muscles differently, particularly for those of us who are left-handed or right-handed. One side of your body may very well be tighter than the other. There's usually a side that's dominant. And because of that, that side very often will be tighter. So don't expect the same results from that side as the non-dominant side. Another important tip is to remember that this stretching is about you, just you. Don't worry what I'm able to do, or if you're in a class, what anyone else in the class can do. That's not important. It has nothing to do with you. You must focus on what you're able to do comfortably, safely, and get your results your way. That also includes how long you hold the stretch. As I've mentioned in other videos, each of us has a different body type, has a different body composition, has different muscle composition, and you have to discover what works best for you and then make that work for you. Another thing that we must consider is pain. Remember that there is good pain and bad pain. Good pain when you go into a stretch is a muscle saying, yes, that doesn't feel great, but I know that has to happen. I know that's going to help me. Bad pain is the muscle saying, stop, I don't want you to do this. I don't do this. This is not going to work. You're going to be sorry for this. If you ever feel that kind of pain, stop immediately. Do not force the stretch. Do not continue with the stretch. Do not continue to stretch a muscle that is telling you, I do not want to be stretched. You cannot stretch me. This is not a good thing. This is not going to have good results. Another thing to be aware of is muscle fatigue. Some of the stretches we do with our arms out to the side, and we hold them there for a certain length of time. You don't want to hold up for so long in the stretch that those muscles become fatigued. If they do become fatigued, you've lost the real benefit of the stretch because now they're going to be muscles that are going to need some work. A question I get asked all the time is, when should I do active stretching? Ideally, we should stretch every day because we're using our muscles every day. And they get tired. They do rest at night, hopefully. But if they're tight, they're not resting at night. They're still working. Any muscle that is tight is working. It's not resting. It's not developing. It's not recovering. So the ideal is that we do it every day. However, we have lives to live. And I know very well that most of us don't have a chance, don't have the time, don't have the inclination, don't have the willpower or the discipline to stretch every day. So particularly, you want to stretch when you know that you're going to be doing some kind of exercise, whether it's an exercise at the gym, or it's going for a walk, or if you're going to do some chores around the house. All of these things use your muscles. So the ideal is that you do some stretching for the muscles that you know you're going to be used before that exercise, and then you do it again after that exercise, targeting specifically the muscles that you just used. Now, again, we have lives to live. We don't have time, perhaps, to do that stretching before and after. If we're a professional athlete, then that's the case. That's the way we do it. But most of us are not professional athletes, so we have to do it when we can do it. And if you have to make a choice of before or after exercise, my advice is that you do the stretch after the exercise. And the reason for that is because of muscle memory. If you've been doing a chore, particularly if you're doing a chore that uses the muscle over and over and over again in the same motion, an example being raking leaves or running, you want to target the muscles that have just been told over and over again and have now received a muscle memory to contract, that they're the ones that you want to target with the stretch afterwards. If a muscle has been told to contract many times, such as running, where your leg muscles have perhaps been told 1,000 times, contract, 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 at the end of that session of running, those muscles have a muscle memory of contraction. And ideally, that contraction goes away. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes that contraction stays there as a muscle memory. When that is the case, those muscles that are contracting are working. So you want to reboot those muscles back to neutral, where the muscle gets the message, I don't have to work anymore. I can rest now. The active stretching will do that. It will tell your muscles, okay, you did your job, that's great, thank you very much, but now rest, recover. Another issue I'm asked about is that of recovery from an injury. As long as it's not a really serious injury, like a torn muscle, if you have a simple injury, such as an overused muscle, the fastest way to recovery is to do your stretches several times a day. And the timeline for that is that if you have the opportunity, and again, this is the ideal, if you have the opportunity, you can do the stretches every half hour. So you're spending a minute doing the stretches, because active stretching is very fast. And if you're focusing on one muscle or one group of muscle, you're going to be finished in a minute or two. So that minute or two, you do your stretching and then you rest for 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Let those muscles process what messages you've just given them, what your brain has just told them to do, which is to recover. And by repeating that over and over and over again through the day, your recovery time will be accelerated tremendously. Again, you're not doing a large number of repetitions at one time. That is going to put you back. That is going to do just the reverse of what you want to happen. You want to do a limit of 10 repetitions, then rest, 20 minutes, a half an hour, and then repeat it. We all have lives to live. That's not the way most of us can approach this. A professional athlete, yes, that's how that professional athlete is going to approach it because that's the living that they're making. But we have other things to do. So do it as many times as is practical for you in a day. And as I said, the more often you do it, the faster your recovery will be. So those are my tips for doing better active stretching. One last tip, have fun. Aaron Matties, the developer of Active Isolated Stretching, says active stretching should be a relaxing and enjoyable experience. And so I hope you will have fun doing active stretching. Once you get over learning how to do it and not having to think about every single thing you do, it will get much easier and much more enjoyable. The first times they're not going to be that enjoyable because you have to think so much, but they will become more enjoyable. I wish you well. Do practice and it will get easier and more fun. Do watch my other videos because there's lots more information there. This is Barry Bailey signing off. See you in the next video. Have a wonderful day and keep stretching.